Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Always in Season podcast, episode number 2. I'm here with Susanna, and today we're going to be talking about more NFL news as the draft is right around the corner.
Yeah, first up, we have some big extensions. The Colts and DeForest Buckner agreed on a 2-year, $46 million extension, and then Devontae Smith in the Eagles, they agreed on a 3-year, $75 million contract. So, what do you think about those two extensions?
Devontae Smith, I mean, that's what receivers get nowadays. $25 million a year. He's definitely worth it. I feel. It's so hard to find your guy as far as receivers go, and I think the Eagles found him. As far as Forrest Buckner goes, that's what his position's getting. You see a lot of the big extensions. You saw what Chris Jones got. So I think he'll. It's a good contract for both sides. I think it'll pan out, and he's a big part of their defense. So I think it was good for both sides.
Yeah, I agree. I think DeForest Buckner is the anchor of that defense for the Colts, and like you said, if the Eagles found their guy, then I guess he was worth the investment. But it is a lot of money. But yeah, receivers is what they're getting paid. So.
So speaking of what receivers are getting paid or what they're not, I should say,
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb are both holding out as volunteer workout start. It's not really a surprise, at least to me, for both players. They both want their money, and I think they both can get their money. So.
Yeah, now this is voluntary, so it's not too
Mhm.
cause for alarm right now. But the Vikings one, like Justin Jefferson, that is concerning. They tried getting a deal done before last season, and it didn't pan out. They could not agree to terms, so Vikings fans might be a little bit more anxious
Yeah,
about this. But we'll see as the season or off season progresses and
yeah.
see how long they hold out
I
for.
think the lack of Kirk definitely is not helping the Viking situation.
Agreed. We have a shining moment and then a not so shining moment. The shining moment is Geno Smith. That boy Geno ran
Yeah,
over 21 miles an
yeah,
hour. I did not know he was built like that, especially at this age, but look
yeah.
at him go.
Yeah, Gino. I mean, I think we fell in love with him after he made his comeback with the Seahawks 2 years ago,
Mm.
and I feel like everybody loves Gino. I think, and like you said, it was kind of a shock, but I guess NFL players they're just more athletic than we realize at
Yeah,
times.
he's flying. And then the not so shining moment is Jason Kelsey. He shared on the New Heights podcast with his brother Travis that he lost his Super Bowl ring while stirring a pot of chili. I don't know why you're stirring a pot of chili. I don't know why you are wearing your Super Bowl ring while stirring that huge. Like, did you see it? It was like a
Yeah,
pool on a ground of chili, and his one and only Super Bowl ring he no longer has.
yeah. Jason he's a character, but I think if this was gonna happen, anybody was gonna be Jason. Um, he shared before that he hid his Super Bowl ring, so nobody could steal it, but then he forgot where he put it.
Yeah.
He did put in an insurance claim, so we'll see what happens. But like he said, I think he said it's kind of a lost cause.
Yeah. His brother is too. Maybe he'll just share one of them with
Maybe
him.
we'll see. As the NFL season kind of is right around the corner, we have teams revealing new uniforms. The Jets, Browns, and Lions have new uniforms, and the Texans, I believe they leaked a helmet. So, what are your thoughts on those uniforms?
Yeah, the Browns we've just seen the helmets, the white face mask they're gonna be
Yeah,
making more permanent. I think that's a clean look. The Jets, again, cleaner. It's not like too much of a change, but I think the players are all happy about them. The Lions kind of look like the Panthers, I'm not gonna lie, but I do think they
yeah,
look really cool. Like their reveal was
yeah.
fire. The Texans, everyone's like, oh, they're amazing. They're gonna be the best uniform, and I'm not saying they won't, but the helmets, it just looks like the Titans, but an H instead of a T.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, if the uniforms are white, I'm sure. I mean, very similar colors, I guess, to the Titans. But we'll see what if those are the official helmet. We'll see what the full uniform looks like.
Yeah. So we heard some reports from ESPN that Robert Kraft warned Arthur Blank of the Atlanta Falcons to not trust Bill Belichick throughout the whole hiring process, and that may have been the decision that or that what led to the decision of them hiring Raheem Morris instead of Bill Belichick.
I think Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft's relationship has definitely gone spiraled downward since Brady's left, and I have no doubt that Kraft definitely had an impact on where the Falcons went. I think Bill I think part of it is he also didn't want. He wasn't 100% committed,
Mm-hmm.
but I think Robert Kraft definitely had an impact on that. For what reason, I don't really know, but I think definitely it was not just Bill Belichick's decision, and and Arthur Blank. So Robert Kraft definitely had some impact there.
Hmm.
So we did see earlier this week that NFL reinstates 4 players: Quintez Cephas, C.J. Moore, Demetrius Taylor, Rashad Berry, and Shaka Tony. I believe all for gambling purposes. We see it often now. Gambling is just, it happens every now and then. I'm sure there'll be some this year. Just dumb mistakes by dumb players, but they find their way back somehow.
They do. The NBA just had an event this week where they banned a player from the league because of this same thing, and the NFL will probably use that as an example, saying, hey, another professional sports league bans their players for this. We're not afraid to do the same. We have a sad news. AJ Simon, a 2024 draft prospect defensive lineman, he tragically passed away at the age of 25. He was a leader on and off the field. Everybody loved him, just kind of like a shining light. So prayers out to his family.
Yeah, definitely some unfortunate news as the draft is, a week away.
Mm-hmm.
We did have 2 signings earlier this week: Andre Dillard and J.K. Dobbins. Andre Dillard, former tackle for the Titans, brings a veteran presence to the Packers. I believe they had their eye on him in 2019, and now they got him. What role he'll play is kind of unsure, but they have that veteran presence.
Yeah.
J.K. Dobbins, a 1-year deal to the Chargers. They lost Eckler, so this is just I believe their temporary replacement or like a transition running back.
For sure.
So we'll see how that pans out for both sides.
Yeah, I'm happy to see Dobbins get a shot there with the Chargers. I think that'll be fun. And yeah, 1 year. I mean, you're just kind of like playing for another contract.
Yeah.
And Andre Dillard, I mean, you can never have too many linemen.
Right.
That's what the Packers always say. And he's versatile, veteran, presence. So I think it's a good move for them. Lastly, DJ Chark is visiting with the Chargers. They clearly need receivers. The draft is full of them. They have a high draft pick, so they could go get one. But it's always good to have an experienced one in there, and DJ Chark, I mean, he's available. So
yeah, hopefully this good for DJ Chark, but like you said, this is such a heavy wide receiver draft class that teams are just gonna. I feel like they're just gonna take the chance in the draft.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Now that we've just kind of wrapped up the weekly news cap, we'll move into our next segment where we'll talk about all of the team's biggest needs as the draft is in just a few days.
Yeah, here we go. Alright, so with the NFL draft approaching very quickly, we will go over every team's biggest need. Now, we do have every team's biggest need written down, but we will post that on our socials for all 32. For the podcast recording, we will just be going over the top 10. Starting off with the Chicago Bears, they need a quarterback. They need the quarterback. They are looking for their savior, their franchise guy, and it looks like that'll be Caleb Williams, but
yeah,
we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I feel like as long as I've been following football, they just can't find their guy, and hopefully 5th, 6th, 7th time's the charm. We'll see.
Yeah.
Commanders, they also need a quarterback. And they need a lot of help in a lot of places, but quarterback definitely with this good of a draft class. I think QB at number 2 is just it's a big need for them, and I think they'll get a good prospect.
Yeah, the Patriots is very interesting because there have been reports that they are willing to listen to other teams who want to maybe get that 3rd overall pick. The Patriots could go with a receiver, but it does seem like quarterback is their biggest need. I mean, they have a 3rd overall pick, so they clearly need a lot of different pieces. But they have a new coach now. Like, everything's fresh with the Patriots, and Tom Brady's been gone long enough where there's not that, like, huge looming shadow. So it's like, okay, go get your guy.
Yeah. Cardinals, I think their biggest need is a receiver. There was talk that they want, I believe it was 2 firsts to trade back, so they're not getting that. They're gonna... They'll take a receiver, I think. They need it. They have Kyler. They have some weapons on the defensive end, but I think they don't have their guy as far as the receiver goes. And there's such a heavy receiver draft class. I think they'll end up taking one.
Yeah, especially the top receivers and stuff, like right at the top of the draft. Who needs a receiver more than the Cardinals? It's the Chargers. Right now, Justin Herbert will be throwing to himself. Like we said in last segment, DJ Chark is visiting, so they're clearly they know what their needs are. But they're gonna want to add whether they add Chark or not. They're gonna want to draft somebody, and they can get a they can get a game changer.
Yeah.
At this spot in the draft.
The Giants, they need O line. They allowed the most sacks last year. I don't think it was close either. They were injured. But just the whole team was injured. But it's more so the O line. So they need health. They need anything and everything they can get.
Poor Giants. Yeah, one of my favorite moments from last year was during a Giants game. They panned over to the sideline, and the 5 starters were on the sidelines in their sweats. They're injured, and I don't know. It's not funny. Injuries aren't funny, no. But just the fact that I don't know. The Giants, it just is all a joke right now. They need so many pieces, but the O-line was pathetically bad. The Titans also need to bulk up that line. They don't have Henry as running back anymore, which is kind of what they were relying on the last few years. So, and Henry, I mean, he's a beast. Even if he has a poor offensive line, he was able to make things happen. Where they don't necessarily have that luxury anymore. And then also they're going to be relying on the pass more now that they have 2-star wide receivers there. And Will Levis, they need to protect him. So,
moving on, I think the Falcons, they have a lot of needs. I mean, they showed some flashes offensively, so I think they're going to go defense here with an edge rusher. I think they'll take the first edge rusher off the board. Who that is, I'm not sure, but I think that's their biggest need heading into this draft.
Yeah, and then last but not least, the New York Jets. They could go in a few different directions, but it looks like tight end is the direction for them. Probably their biggest need, and there is a really great tight end that would be a perfect fit for the New York Jets right there at 10 overall.
So. But, we'll see where they go, but I think a lot of people haven't taken a tight end. So we'll now move into our next segment where we take a look at a deep dive of the top 10 quarterbacks in this draft class. With this draft class being so QB heavy, I think it's important to see which prospects are good and which ones kind of struggle.
Absolutely. Alrighty, now we are going to do that top 10 quarterback deep dive of the 2024 draft class. We will start off with Caleb Williams. Now, everyone is saying that he is like the LeBron James of this draft class, that he is a generational talent. That is a lot of pressure to put on someone, but that's how we're looking at him. When I was going through film, when I've watched his games this past season, obviously, his arm strength, his arm talent, he can make every throw. His ceiling is extremely high. He can extend plays. He has all the tools that you want in a quarterback. Now, his footwork and his mechanics, they're very poor, I would say. He has been compared to Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. A couple of years ago, Jordan Love was compared to Patrick Mahomes. That is who they said he was like. That he may have had the highest ceiling of all the quarterbacks in the 2020 draft class, which was a very stacked draft class for quarterbacks. And Jordan Love could make all the throws, but his mechanics, his footwork were poor. The biggest difference between Jordan Love, who shined last year, and Caleb Williams is that Jordan Love got to sit for 3 years behind an NFL MVP, got to learn, got to work on those footwork and mechanics before he had to go be the guy. Caleb Williams has to go be the guy now with a team that doesn't have all the pieces, as we said. His NFL comp, I would say Jordan Love is a very similar situation coming out of the draft of, the skills, the ceiling, the floor. He also could be compared to a Josh Allen, but right now I'm seeing Baker Mayfield because Baker Mayfield has that toughness. He had that extending plays. Baker Mayfield could actually make more throws than people gave him credit for. His mechanics are poor. Baker had to go be that guy right away for the Browns, who had a similar situation of quarterback failure after quarterback failure after quarterback failure. We will see if Caleb can go be that guy and save the team. I think Caleb can be a good quarterback in the NFL, but I don't think, because he has to start right away, because he has to be the savior right away, I don't think that he can be the generational talent that everyone's expecting him to be.
I think there's just so much pressure on him. It's ridiculous. And I think the Bears have a long history of just swinging him as horribly at times with the quarterback. But like you said, Caleb has a Heisman. So I think he's shown flashes in college, but can that transition to the NFL? I don't know. I personally am a big believer to sit guys. I know it's kind of frowned upon, because their age window is so small. Yeah. But I mean, you saw it with Love. sat for 3 years, and over time, especially this year, he just flipped a switch and hit a stride, and now he's going to be getting paid a lot of money.
Absolutely.
So
He's number 6 in MVP odds.
yeah. So again, we'll see what Caleb ends up being and what he pans out. But I think, um, again, I don't personally think he's the best one in the draft class. But like you said, he's got a phenomenal ceiling. His ceiling is ridiculously high.
Yeah.
So he can, if he turns out, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised. But if he doesn't, I think I just don't know.
The situation might be the worst thing for his career.
Yeah. Next up, we have Jane Daniels. I believe this the most recent Heisman winner. My personal favorite prospect, quarterback prospect in this draft class. He's he's an interesting one. I mean, he can make the throws. Goes through progressions well. Great rhythm thrower, and slides out of the pocket. Can keep that platform when he needs to be. The biggest thing is he takes unnecessary hits. I feel like he won't protect himself, which I think can lead to injury. For pro comp, I had RG3. RG3 had a really good college career, and unfortunately had just a brutal knee injury, and just that was it. I think Jaden does have a very high ceiling, especially if he goes into the right situation. Um, but I don't think he's. I mean, I don't think he's going number one personally. But I would take him one.
Okay.
But I think Jaden is one that has one of the higher ceilings, and if he ends up being the best quarterback in this draft class, I don't think anybody's going to be shocked.
Yeah, his accuracy, his pocket presence, I mean, it's impressive and probably the best of any quarterbacks in the class. Um, he has good vision and, like you said, mobility, but yeah, he does take unnecessary hits and he's a little stiff, which is actually something that people said about Aaron Rodgers coming out of the draft, like where he held the ball and, he just kind of like a little stiff with the throwing. It is interesting. Jaden fascinates me because he's fluid when he runs, but then when he throws, this little I don't know, hesitancy. But I think he'll be good. But it will be interesting, like where he goes. Will he have to start right away? Is it going to be a competition? But I do like him. Next we have Drake May. His arm strength, throwing off platform, his accuracy and timing, and he is a speedy scrambler.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun watching Drake May honestly play. His weaknesses though, switching from the pre-snap read, he struggles with, which is really important in the NFL. And also the quarterback, that's the leader of the team. And when something happens, something goes wrong, somebody misses their blocking assignment or runs the wrong route or just the defense is ready, that's when the quarterback is like, okay, you need to go make that play, turn the negative into a positive. Mm-hmm. He usually turns the negative into a bigger negative. Yeah. And that's what worries me for him in the pros. I think his ceiling is kind of like a Justin Herbert, and his floor is kind of like a Daniel Jones is what I'm seeing. But again, with quarterbacks, I think the biggest thing is the situation that they land in.
Yeah.
But
I think Drake May, he's a big body quarterback, very much like Josh Allen, where he's got I would say one of the best arms, if not the best arm in the draft class. Mm-hmm. Okay. But again, those small things, like you said, he gets flustered and can just turn a negative into a bigger negative instead of into a positive.
Yeah.
Next we have JJ McCarthy, out of Michigan. He's a great system quarterback. If he finds the right scheme, right system, he can flourish. So he needs to land in the right system.
Yeah. He's a winner.
Yeah, the national champion. When I watched him later, especially later this year at Michigan, he was making some throws into tight windows that I was shocked. Mm-hmm. He's very efficient. I believe he was 60+% completion percentage. He doesn't miss those throws. But then again, he doesn't throw the ball that far down the field.
Yeah. I think Baker is an interesting comp for him. I definitely see a lot of Jared Goff in JJ, but yeah, he is a winner, and that's what you want in the league. So we'll see what system he lands in, and if he can feel a little bit more comfortable with whatever situation he lands in to make some off schedule plays and get better at going through his reads and
Yeah,
progressions.
it'll be interesting to see if a team drafts up for him. A team that doesn't have all the pieces, how he does in that situation.
Yeah.
Because I think he needs to fall back a little bit,
Yeah.
and in a situation where he has some help around him.
Yeah. Fifth quarterback is Michael Penix Jr. Obviously, you watch him, the mobility. I mean, it's crazy. Uh, he has some arm strength and he has the ability to throw into tight windows. His weaknesses, though, doesn't put great touch on the throw. When under pressure, he really struggles, and going through his progressions is definitely his biggest weakness. He reminds me a lot of Jalen Hurts. And doing the whole pro comp thing is hard because it feels like you're putting pressure, like that they have to become that
Mm-hmm.
or that they're going to be that good. Where Jalen Hurts, is like he was, close to get like people thought he might win the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
this year. So that's hard, but like just his skill set is a lot like Jalen Hurts, and also his weaknesses are a lot like Jalen Hurts. So Michael Penix, he might, I don't know, he could fall
Yeah.
into the second round for all we know,
Yeah.
and then get to sit and watch, or some team could be like, yeah, we want our guy, we think he's our guy, and start him right away.
Yeah.
So
I think the Penix, the biggest thing is his injury history.
Yeah.
I believe he tore his ACL twice, which is just not great. I think this is why he's going to fall. He could, like you said, he could fall to the second round. I don't think he falls past that, but again, he could be a top 15 guy, and nobody really would be shocked.
Yeah.
So I think moving into the next one is Bo Nix out of Oregon. He was there for what, 3-4 years. He's been at Oregon he's been in college for a while. Great, a lot of experience. He's got great velocity, good arm talent. Again, he's another big quarterback, like Drake May. But at times he can short arm throws and just not put enough on it. And when extending plays, he could be inconsistent and indecisive. I had his pro comp as Justin Herbert, not just because it was Oregon, but I just think when I watch him play, there's just a lot of similarities there. I mean, Justin is kind of that same way as well. I think we're waiting for Justin to hit that stride because he just kind of hasn't hit that yet. He's just kind of been floating in the middle ground. So
you see the talent.
Yeah, you see the talent. You know that if the right pieces are around him, and with Herbert this year, there's not any pieces around him.
Yeah, and I think Bo, like he struggles at leading receivers, and in college, I mean, an open receiver in college is drastically different than an open receiver in the NFL. And so if you're struggling leading his receivers in college, you really worry about the NFL. I think his throwing on the run looks a lot like Mahomes, or you could even say Herbert, but I think it looks a lot like Mahomes. But his pocket presence reminds me of Brock Purdy. But yeah, Bo Nix, I mean, he is flashy. He is flashy. So after Bo, we have Spencer Rattler. Spencer, I mean, you heard about him even when he was in high school, and his arm talent, his throwing, like he can throw at every different angle, like which is what you kind of want now. Now that we've seen that it's not just the pure pocket passers. And his pocket movement is great. His eye discipline, like he has a lot of important tools that usually quarterbacks don't have coming out of the draft. But his footwork is it's a weakness of his. And another weakness is he's pretty reckless. He reminds me of a Russell Wilson or Kyler Murray. That's kind of his play style. But he will very likely be a backup and get to sit and learn, and then just wait for his opportunity, which is why he could end up being one of the best quarterbacks coming out of this class because he gets to sit.
I think sitting the quarterback is it for a lot of guys, not everybody, but if you find the right guy in the right system with the right mentor, like Love, like Jordan Love, I think,
and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Rodgers too, yeah. I mean, you saw the Packers have hit on back-to-back, and it's because they sat. I mean, to be fair, Rodgers did fall, and they traded up for Love, so it's a different situation.
But also Mahomes, he got to sit for 1 year, and it worked, even just 1 year.
Next up, we have a Michael Pratt from Tulane. He was there for 4 years, so he has a lot of experience, a little bit of an older quarterback. Consistently improved from year to year, and solid mobility. He can move when he needs to.
Yeah.
His arm talent is not great. Going through progressions is just not where it should be, And again, he can short arm throws and just not lead his receivers the way he needs to.
Yeah, his sideline accuracy is what concerns me, but but he does do a good job like tricking the defense with his eyes, so that can that'll help him,
Mm-hmm.
But he'll definitely, he is not going to be the guy that somebody drafts to be their starter,
Yeah.
so he'll get to sit. He's kind of like a Carson Wentz or Cooper Rush is how I see him right now, so we'll see how that pans out in the league. Next we have Joe Milton the third. He is like okay. I think the best way to describe Joe Milton is that he is like a reckless Josh Allen or Justin Herbert. He is flashy. He's inconsistent. He makes a lot of splash plays, but just not enough of them. And I think he can. Joe Milton is also interesting because people say that he might switch to tight end when he gets in the league.
Yeah.
And so it's like he's an athlete. He's an athlete.
Yeah.
But depending on where he goes, he might sit, learn, go play quarterback, have a career, or he might be like, yeah, I'm going to play right away as a tight end. So that'll be fun to watch. But
yeah, I think the biggest weakness for him is his touch throws. He just puts a lot on every throw, and downfield, kind of like his basket throws, he kind of lacks at times.
Yeah.
But for my pro comp, I had Cam Newton. Again, Cam Newton's kind of, I won't say one hit wonder, but he kind of had like a very short prime. Yeah. And then just struggled to find work after that. But we'll see how Milton pans out. I think, like you said, if he can either play quarterback or go a different route. But I think if he is drafted as a quarterback, he should sit. And I think if he finds the right situation, he can make a solid career.
Yeah.
Last up, we have Sam Hartman. I believe he was at Notre Dame last year. Watching his film, he hangs in the pocket a lot. He's willing to take those hits, and willing to scramble as well. But again, turns the ball over a lot. His mechanics aren't great, and when he's outside the pocket, forces scramble, he just doesn't. It's not the same when he's a pocket thrower.
Yeah. Well, if you look at all of his weaknesses, it's mechanics, and it's eye discipline, and it's decision making. So the combination of those three, of course, he has a lot of turnovers. He's like a Bailey Zapp. His timing is all right, and he processes quickly, and that will help him. But he definitely needs time to learn, and again, he'll sit, he'll have time. So that's it for our top 10 quarterback deep dive. Next, we will go over our top 10 draft prospects for the 2024 draft class.
All right, now that we've talked about the top 10 quarterbacks, let's just go over our top 10 draft prospects overall. First, Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's the best prospect, best receiver, best
everything.
Everything, yeah. I think he's going to be a star in the league. Obviously, having his dad as mentor, learning from him helps a lot. But yeah, we'll see how he pans out. But I think he's going to be a stud.
Yeah, he's from my favorite college, Ohio State. He's C.J. Stroud thinks he's the best. And I don't know. I think Marvin Harrison will also go to a situation that he's able to succeed right away. So I would agree that he is the best prospect in this class. At number 2, we have Jaden Daniels, quarterback out of LSU. And that's not a knock on Caleb. It's just that Jaden, I think his decision making and his accuracy, it's impressive. He looks like a pro-ready quarterback.
Yeah. Third, we had Caleb. Well, we've talked about Caleb a lot this episode, but he's up there as much as there are some negatives that we personally don't like. He's up there.
His ceiling is incredible, and this is the prospect. So regardless of what situation they go, At number 4, we have Malik Neighbors. He is. Some say that he is first receiver taken off the board ready. It's just that he happens to be in the same class as Marvin Harrison. Yeah. You know what I mean? But Malik Neighbors is a stud, and he's also at LSU. So he worked with Jaden Daniels, which of course helped.
Yeah. Kind of working with another star quarterback, Romeo Dunze from Washington.
I love watching film on him.
Yeah, he's special. Again, it helped a lot that that Penix was his quarterback, but I remember watching the national championship last year, and there was a couple catches he made that he wins jump balls.
Oh yeah.
He's one of the better go getters of the football in the draft. So I think if he's, I don't know if he'll be first off the board, but he's up there. He'll go quick.
Hold on, just looking at those top five: Marvin, Jaden, Caleb, Malik, Rome. Like
Yeah.
the rookie of the year, offensive
It'll
rookie of
be
the year is going to
interesting.
be fun this
Yeah.
year.
Well, I'm sure we'll get into those awards in
Oh
later
yeah, oh
episodes.
yeah, for sure. At number six, we have Joe Out. He is offensive tackle from Notre Dame. He is absolutely the first one off the board. If he's not, then I don't trust any GM in the league
Yeah.
anymore. But I mean, he is a pro.
Yeah.
Like he is so NFL ready. Um, there's not even much you can say. Like he's the best.
Seventh, we have Rock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia. Not much more to say about him. He's the best tight end in the draft class. He'll go quick, top 10, top 15 for sure.
Oh yeah.
He won't fall.
Yeah, I mean he can block. He can run every route. He can get a chip. He can also. I mean he'll do a jump ball too at the tight end. So yeah, I love Brock. And number 8 we have Drake May, quarterback out of North Carolina. We've also talked about him throughout the podcast. But yeah, Drake May. I mean he's a solid quarterback where he'll probably start right away. And we'll see how he pans out.
And ninth, we have Troy Fratanu. I think he'll go quick. He could fall a little bit, but I think one of the better prospects on the board. So if he goes, I think he'll probably end up top 10. But if he falls past 15, I don't think he falls out of the first round for sure.
If he falls later in the first round, he'll be one of the steals.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. At number 10, Terran Arnold, cornerback out of Bama. I mean, absolute stud. He can put him on an island, and he's not afraid of anything. Aggressive mentality, which you need as a corner, and so someone's secondary is about to be a lot better. Yeah. I think it's cool that we have 3 players from Washington in our top 10, don't we?
Yeah.
No. We have 2, but then they have Penix, which is close to our top 10.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next we have our mock draft reveal, which we're looking forward to. Again, with our mock drafts, we're not going to go through all 32 picks. We will go through our top 10. The rest will be on our socials, and we'll have links to that after this episode. All right, so for our 2024 NFL mock drafts, again, we will be posting. We each have our own, so we will be posting those on our socials. But we will go over both of our top 10s right now. Both of us in both of our mock drafts, we have Caleb Williams going to the Chicago Bears, and we have Jaden Daniels going to the Washington Commanders. But already at the 3rd overall pick, we have a little change. So I have J.J. McCarthy, quarterback out of Michigan, being drafted by the Patriots. I know that's high to take him, but I could just see them trying to go with the Michigan quarterback again.
Yeah. For 3rd overall, I had Drake May going to the Patriots. I think there's not going to be much movement within the top 4 for sure. But if the Patriots are willing to listen, then I think they're the team that is going to move.
Yeah. At number 4 and number 5, we also have the same. So we both have Arizona drafting Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver out of Ohio State. And then we both have the Los Angeles Chargers drafting Malik Neighbors, wide receiver out of LSU. But then we have a change at 6 again. So I have the Minnesota Vikings, who are at number 11, trading up with the New York Giants. They trade and they draft Drake May, quarterback out of North Carolina, and go get their guy, replacing Kirk Cousins.
6 overall, I had Romeo Dunze, wide receiver out of Washington, one of the better receivers out there. And the Giants, they do need help O-line, but that can always be fixed later in the draft. But with this heavy wide receiver class, I think getting a guy like Romeo is crucial.
Yeah. At number 7 and number 8, we have the same as each other again. So at number 7, we both have the Tennessee Titans drafting Joe Alt, offensive tackle, out of Notre Dame, best in the class. And then at number 8, we both have the Atlanta Falcons taking Dallas Turner, edge out of Alabama. We mentioned earlier that they need the edge, the best one in the class. So that's what they get. But then we again have a change at number 9. Chicago has that pick as well. I have them drafting Romo Dunes, wide receiver out of Washington, with that pick.
This is when the Vikings go get their guy. They trade, not far, but they trade from 11 to 9 to take JJ. I don't think they need to be aggressive to go get JJ. But if they want to be really aggressive and get a trade up to the top 3, they could. But I don't see them trading super far because I think a lot of the teams are gonna stay put.
Okay, and then we both at number 10 have the New York Jets getting the best tight end in the class, Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia. So I think that's a great fit for the Jets. And I mean, if you need a tight end and you have the opportunity to go get the best tight end, you're a happy camper, right? So that is our top 10 picks for the NFL mock drafts that we both had. Again, we'll post those on socials. We'll have the link attached to this video. But that's it for our episode 2 of our Always in Season podcast. The next episode, we will be reviewing what happened in the first couple rounds, mainly the first round of the NFL draft, maybe giving each team their draft grades and more. So thank you for tuning in. I'm Susanna. This is Zach. We out.